Hey, kia ora. Good morning. Helen Brahms here coming to you live from Mesa in Arizona. I was hoping it would take a little longer to go live so I could just quickly go. That feels better. My throat was getting a little on the dry side. Hope you're all having a super fantastic sparkling start to Fun Friday. Yay! One of my favorite days of the week. I only have 7 of them. Um, hope you all had a super fantastic sparkling Thanksgiving yesterday, and maybe you're suffering from food comas today, but that's okay. Today is all about fun. It is fun, 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 fun. My morning has had the most unusual start this morning because my puppy is still asleep. Normally, when I wake up in the morning, which is sometime between 5 and 6, occasionally I will wake up when the alarm goes off because I do have an alarm set to go off just in case I oversleep. But that goes off at 6:07. Um, Normally, when I wake up in the morning and lay there and stretch and start doing my gratitude stuff, that's when Zeffy wakes up as well, and she'll get up, she stretches, she just jumps off the bed, saunters down the RV, hops up on the dashboard, wiggles her way behind the curtain at the front there so she can look out her side window, and then she either sits there, stands there, or lays there and just watches the world wake up. 5 o'clock in the morning, it's still dark, so I'm not sure how much she's actually seeing, what's in the early morning there, and but this morning I got up. I woke up around 5 o'clock. I got up. I started my day. I got dressed. Showered, dressed, made the bed around her. Because the first thing I do when I get up is make the bed. So I did that. And showered, dressed. Then came out here. I've had breakfast already. I've had my cup of tea for the morning, although I'll probably have another one because it's lemon and honey and ginger, so it's always good to have more than that, more than one. I even put the little fan heater on out here to help get the RV warmed up because it's like 7 degrees Celsius outside, or 40, 41 or 44 degrees Fahrenheit. But inside we're at a toasty 62, I think it was when I last looked. So it's warm enough in here. Yeah, Zeffy slept through the whole thing. If you have a look on my Facebook page, there's actually a picture of her curled up there, still asleep. And so I've had a good start. I've had a great start to the morning. And I even sat here and ate breakfast. And I was not quiet in the kitchen. And she slept through the whole thing. But just before I came on the live, she did come out and wanted. She came out. Where did she go? Oh, she wandered over to a crate, had a sniff of that. I went over, bent down, and gave her some good rubs and everything, and said good morning to her. Gave her a cuddle, and then what does she do? She gets up and she walked back to bed, and now she's curled back up on the bed again, asleep again. I'm like, you didn't get any turkey yesterday. What's your problem? Well, actually, her kibble, one of her kibbles she has is turkey flavored. Yeah, she has a turkey and potato and a salmon and sweet potato flavored kibbles, and they get mixed together. So she had turkey and salmon with potatoes and sweet potatoes for dinner, that she has every day. Um, so she had that. So I don't know, guess she just doesn't want to go out and go for a walk. I asked her if she wanted to go for a walk, and her response was to walk back to the bedroom and jump back up on the bed and go back to sleep. So she's having a nice, relaxing, easy start to her day. Um, I'm having a great morning so far this morning. I've started working on cleaning out my inboxes today. I have several different emails, and some of the inboxes got a little out of control, so I figured I would work on doing that today. But we are going to meet up with Trixie and her mom. We're going to around 9:30 ish, somewhere around there. And then we're going to head over to the large dog park with the dogs, because the dog park over behind us, yes, they've got some room to run around, but it's still fairly small. It's only about 60 feet in length, which doesn't really give the dogs enough room to really stretch their legs and really run. The other dog park is much larger. It's the biggest one here, and over there she will definitely, and both dogs will definitely have run enough room to stretch their legs and really run and get up to some speeds. So it's going to be fun because Zephyr's never been up against a Texan Blue Heeler Greyhound mix. So that's going to be fun with the mini German Shepherd that has Whippet in her. Speed, agility on both dogs. So it's going to be a very fun time watching them in the dog park. And but although Trixie has a habit of, she discovered very early on that Zeffy wears a harness with a handle on the back. And so Trixie has found that's a good place to hang on and try and move Zeffy wherever she wants to go around the dog park. But when we're over at the dog park, I make sure to take the harness off Zeffy. So she's just got her collar on like Trixie does, and see what happens with that. Because, Trixie's mum gets a little upset when Trixie keeps grabbing hold of Zeffy's collar. Um, and she uses that in their wrestling moves. So yeah, that'll be fun. But we'll try and get some video of that so you can get to see the two dogs running together. And Trixie's only 10 months old. Zephyr is almost 21 months old. So lots of energy between the two pups. And they just have so much fun together. So it's going to be fun watching them in a bigger space where they can really stretch their legs and get up some speed and run. And it's going to be a great fun watching them play together in that environment. So I can't wait. So we'll be doing that this morning after 9:30, after my morning Zoom. I've got my morning Zoom at 9 o'clock, and then as soon as that's done, I'll contact Deb, and we'll go walk over to their RV, pick them up, and we'll walk over together to the far side and let the dogs run loose. So stay tuned for videos coming for that later on today, this morning. But that's it basically for me for today. Just to have a fun day. What fun things are you up to today? Let us know in the comments below. It's all about Fun Friday. Not sure. I'm going to be looking at some different genealogy classes today, maybe some history classes, just stuff that I can do just online right now because I don't want to do any in-person ones. There is a 4-year degree that I can do at BYU. It's the only 4-year degree for genealogy in the United States. So, and you have to do that one in person. They have some online classes for it, but it mainly has to be done in person. So, yeah, that one I'm still thinking about because it's going to be a big investment. It would mean moving to Salt Lake City for 4 years, leaving Zeffie for a while each day, for a few hours each day while I go to class and that sort of stuff, unless I can organize the classes where I'm only going for like a couple of hours or something. That's my biggest concern because she's around me 24/7. In the year that she's been with me, we've only spent one overnight away from each other, and then there's been 3 days besides that where she's spent 3 days at the dog sitters on separate occasions. So 3 separate days at the dog sitters. Some for a few, some for 3 or 4 hours, some for 6, 7 hours. So, and she's done fine with those, but it has been, she hasn't left my side much since January. Only when I've got to go do laundry or had to go do grocery shopping is the only time that, but that's only for a couple of hours. So, yeah, still thinking on whether I'm going to go and do that. But then there's also the investment of it as well. So, just thinking on things, on what to do and where to go and all that sort of stuff. And if I did go up to Salt Lake City for 4 years, I would not be able to stay in Sparkles the whole time because Sparkles is not a 4-season RV. So yeah, there would be that issue as well. But you know, actually I probably wouldn't have to do 4 years since I already have a 2-year degree. I have 3 2-year degrees, so I wonder if that would count for some of my core classes. I could transfer those credits across, although it's been 10 years. Actually, no, it's been 20 years since I graduated. Dang. Yeah, because I finished in December 2019. Sorry, 2000 hang on. 1999 is when I finished. I walked in 2020 and 2000. That's right. I walked in 2000, but I finished my last class in December of 99. So that's been over 20 years. So I don't know how many of those credits I would actually cross over. So I might have to take some classes again, as long as there's no math. I'm not a big math fan. And I remember sitting at the dining table one time when I was having to do the math class. And it was just a general math class. I'm doing algebra. I cannot wrap my head around algebra. And yet I'm somebody who loves puzzles. And in algebra, it's finding, you know, what the values are of the letters and that sort of thing. But for some reason, the formulas and things, I just don't comprehend those. And I even said to Brad one day, I said, what the heck? The boys were there. So I had Brad's 3 boys and Brad, the 4 of them, all there sitting there trying to teach me algebra, which is absolutely hilarious in itself because I was getting frustrated with it. But they really did a good job of trying to explain things. And thankfully they all explained it. They all explained the same methods, but each of them had a different way of explaining it. So at least they weren't trying to change the method of being done. They were just using their own learning techniques to teach me. So I was getting taught in 4 different ways on how to do algebra. Even though it was all exactly the same formula, the same process and everything else, they just each had different ways of telling me how to do the same process, which was kind of interesting. And then, oh, bye, safe travels. It's just an RV pulling out. Um, and I said to Brad, I said, okay. I just finally went, slapped my hands and I says, okay, when am I ever going to use algebra in real life? And so Brad says, he says, well, and he starts writing out this algebra formula. I said, what's that for? He says, it's to figure out how much paint that you need for a room. And I said, how much paint you need for a room? You just go length times width times height. Done. And he's like, what do you mean? I said, well, when you do the length by the width times the height, then you get the area that you need. And then, 1 gallon, 4 gallons does this amount, and 1 gallon does this amount, and da 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 da. And I said, like for the boys' rooms upstairs, they're 10 by 10 by 8. And I said, so we needed 1 gallon of paint. And he's like, but that's algebra. I says, no, it's not. I said, that's geometry. Geometry I could do, not a problem. So yeah, he would sit down and write out this complicated form about how to figure out the paint that you needed for a room. And I go, I don't need that. I just go the length times the height times the width, and we're done. And he's just like, oh, well, how much carpet do you need? I go length times width, length of the room times the width of the room, and there's how much carpet you need. So you don't need all of that thing with the A, B, C's, and D's after all those letters and stuff. You don't need any of that. And he's just like, oh, he says, but that's algebra. I says, no, it's not algebra. He says, what you're showing me here in algebra and what I do over here, I said, that's geometry. It's finding out the square footage of an area. And I said, that's geometry, not algebra. So we had this very interesting discussion with the boys there about this. But somehow in that class, I ended up with an A. Do not ask me how that happened. I have no clue. So I guess somehow, somewhere along the way, something about how Brad and the boys explained how you do algebra sunk in enough for me to pass the exam and get an A in the class. I still don't know how I got an A in math. I was not a big math person at school. I remember doing calculus, and my end of the year, I got a 37. But with the way they did the certifications in New Zealand at the time, it was called University Entrance, was the name of their national exam we did every year, or we did at the end of our second to last year of high school. You could either get the certificate accredited to you based on your work throughout the year, or you could sit and pass the exams. And the school principal in the middle of the year would meet with each person in the same year as I was and tell them, this is where you are on the line. This is the cutoff line. If you're above this line, you get accredited. If you're below this line, you don't get accredited. You're going to have to sit and pass. And he said, and he told me I was sitting right just below the line. And I looked at him and I said, well, I'm going to sit and pass the exam anyway. If you give me a letter that says I've been accredited, I'm going to sit and pass the exam anyway. He's like, why is that? I said, because I will have no higher qualification to go with that. And I said, and at the time, employers would look, if you've got university entrance, did you sit and pass the exam, or were you accredited? If you were accredited, do you have a higher qualification to go with it? If not, then they would take those that had sit and passed over those that had been accredited. That was just how it worked back then. And I said, I'm not going to get any other higher qualification. I said, because I'm going to go into the Air Force. And by then I was already flat tack. I'm going into the Air Force. I am not going to be doing any other national exams. So I'm going to sit and pass the university entrance. And so they did not. So he knew I was going to hand back the letter. So they never gave me a letter. Just said I was going to be doing the exams. And to finish and to pass the exams, you had to get 300. You had to take your top 4 subjects, and the exam scores had to be 300. Well, my little piddly 37 on calculus made my score 309 points. So I got university entrance in maths. So that's how bad my math was. But add, subtract, multiply, divide, give me the basic stuffs. I can do that. I loved geometry. I loved doing that. That was fun. But algebra and calculus, just couldn't figure that stuff out. I know, and looking at it, I know it is a puzzle. It is a puzzle to solve. It's just my brain just doesn't. Maybe it will now, because of years of experience and all of that I can bring to it. At the time, I was a teenager, but maybe things will be different now if somebody sat me down and tried to explain it to me. I don't know. I know that going through when I did my 3 2-year degrees all at the same time, that I found the schoolwork a lot easier. But then I'd been out of school for, let's see, I left school in 84. So I'd been out of school for, left in 84, went back to school in 97, So yeah, I've been out of school 13 years at that point. So I guess bringing the life experience into the school later on does help a lot. So who knows? Who knows? And English was always my strongest subject at school anyway, so I aced that one. But hey, I managed to graduate with honors, so that was pretty cool. Um, but yeah, so I'm still tossing up about the 4 year degree thing for my genealogy, going and ahead and doing that. So there's lots of other classes and certifications and stuff I can take along the way, which I'm going to use as continuing education. Even if I do go for the 4 year degree, I will still keep doing that because I believe that when you are involved in a business, you should always keep up to date with what is the latest technology, and you should also be increasing your knowledge. When I was um, like full on with my travel business and stuff, I was constantly learning about new destinations, learning about new cruise ships, learning about the different cruise lines, what's different amongst them, learning about the different hotels, who are their target markets, who are their, what markets are they trying to attract, what makes them different from the other brand that has a similar audience that they're going a similar market. And so learning the differences on that, always learning about new destinations. So I was constantly learning. And I believe any trade that you do, you should be constantly learning to help improve your knowledge. And that's what helps you stand out from everybody else. Um, if you're in a profession, you know, if you're a real estate agent or an insurance agent or a car salesperson or whatever profession you are in, and there's a lot of other people in your profession as well, why should people come to you? And I think one of the things that helps you stand out is the fact if you're doing continuing education, like constantly learning, um, and you don't have to get down to you might want to get to the nitty gritty details to understand things, but then you've got to turn around and take those features and turn them into benefits on how they are going to benefit the client and not get too technical. It's one thing I had to learn in travel is to let go of the lingo. Like when I'm talking with other travel professionals, that was okay. The lingo was fine. But when I was talking with a client, I had to remember to speak English and not travel talk. Um, and so, but having a better understanding of a product means that you can find a better fit because when you're doing travel, yes, you've got all these different cruise lines, but the cruise lines are not the same. Yes, you're on a cruise ship. Yes, you have a cabin. The cabins are all pretty much the same. There might be, an extra square foot or something in the cabins, but their sizes are pretty standard. Um, they all have the buffets, they all have the specialty restaurants and all of this sort of stuff. It is coming down to what sort of clientele do they have on board the ships? What clientele are they attracting? Are they looking at families? Are they looking at couples only? Are they looking at those empty nesters? Are they looking at the those with the deep pockets? Are they looking at the budget conscious people? And understanding those demographics and everything else helps you to determine because this person over here might like princess, this person over here may not, and this person tells their friend, hey, we went on this great princess cruise, it was absolutely fabulous, we did blah 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 blah. But when you actually talk to that person and they say, I want to go on this princess cruise, and I always would turn around and go, do you mind me asking why you want to go on that particular cruise? And they says, oh, my friend just got off the princess ship and they're raving about it and saying how great it was and all of that, blah 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 blah. And I said, well, do you mind if I ask you a few questions about things that you enjoy? And they're like, why would you want to do that? And I said, well, your friend may have a very different personality to you and may like some of the things that you like, but also has a lot of things that they like that are different. And each cruise line has their own personality. And so I want to make sure that your personality matches their personality because you could have an okay time on a cruise, but if you're on the right cruise, on the right cruise line, on the right cruise ship for you and your family and your personality and your needs and wants and budget, then you can have an amazing time. And that actually makes them stop and pause that somebody took the time to say, oh, because and this is the difference between a professional and an agent. Professional will dig deeper, an agent will turn around and go, oh, you want to go on this princess cruise? What type of cabin would you like? Oh, here you go. And you don't, without asking qualifying questions. So we would always qualify our clients as to why they wanted to do a particular cruise, a particular land tour, why they wanted to go with that company, were they open to other suggestions? Because in questioning a lot of people, Yes, their friends may have recommended a cruise for them because they have a blast on that particular cruise line, but it doesn't match that. It doesn't match their friend at all. It is like um, one may be suited for Princess, the other one may be suited for like Royal Caribbean or Norwegian, and so asking those extra questions helps. And when you know your products inside out and back to front like that, you can better determine through the benefits that are offered. Um, yeah, when you know the product and you know the benefits and how and the right demographics for that particular benefit or product. It could be, they go in to buy a car and their friend has a Toyota, which they think is absolutely wonderful, but it could be that that particular car may not be right for that family and their needs. So when you get to know your products very, very well, it's easier to very quickly narrow down with just a few simple questions what it is that the client is actually wanting, what their needs are, what their budget is, and helping them find the right product that fits with their wants, needs, and budget. And if you don't know your products very well, if you're doing travel and you don't know a destination very well, you could actually end up causing them to have like a travel nightmare. You could cause them to have the completely wrong car for them. It doesn't fit their needs. They might have kids that are always going to games and, playing soccer or basketball or whatever, and the car isn't equipped to handle the sports equipment or the carpooling that you have to do. You've given them a little four-door sedan type of thing instead of maybe they needed a minivan. So they're just going for four-door sedan because their friends have it and rave about it, and they think it will work for them. But then when you actually ask them the questions and you find out about their lifestyle, you figure out that, oh, they're not actually going to fit into a four-door sedan. They're going to be better off in either an SUV or a minivan. So by asking those questions, you can help that. And you can't ask those questions if you haven't been trained. So continuing education is huge. And I have definitely rabbited on long enough. I totally did not plan going into a whole spiel on continuing education and why it is so valuable. Because you've got to keep up with the latest technology and the latest ins and outs and everything else. So I am now going to sign off. I'm going to go see if my dog wants to wake up and go for a quick walk before I have my call at 9 o'clock. She hasn't resurfaced yet. I bet she's back asleep again. I know she is. That's her start to her fun day today. Mind you, it's probably good that she's getting asleep now because she's storing up the energy and she can burn it all off. Her and Trixie will burn it off, no problem at all. But anyway, have a super fantastic, sparkling, fun Friday, and we will catch you guys later on this afternoon. Hakonera!